In this video, we're going to use StatCrunch and Excel to find quartiles, the IQR, and identify any outliers. We'll use this problem as an example. So let's go ahead and first find the 3 quartiles, and we'll use StatCrunch. So click to copy table, open StatCrunch. It should import all the data for you. And there it is in the first column, var1. To calculate the 3 quartiles, we're going to go to Stats, Summary Stats, Columns, select the column. And by default, it's going to have several things selected for you, some of the common things that you might want to calculate. We, however, would like to find specifically Q1, the median, which is Q2, and Q3. To select multiple, what you want to do is hold down the Control or the Command key and click. So the way I selected multiple was holding down Control and clicked on Q1, median, Q3. Once you have the ones you want, hit compute, and there they are, Q1, median, or Q2, and Q3. If you'd like to use Excel instead, just go ahead and open an Excel, and it should give you a file to download, or it should download a file that you'll have to open up in Excel. Usually it takes a couple of minutes for mine to open up. Your mileage may vary. All right, when it does open up, I need to hit enable editing. Your data has been imported. To find the quartiles, pick any empty cell, and in the formula bar, we're going to do equals to start off a formula and type in quartile.inc, open parentheses. I'm going to click in my first data value, click, and then just drag while I'm holding down the mouse button, and then I'll let go, and then I'm going to do comma 1, close parentheses, enter. There's my first quartile. To get your second quartile, you can do the same method and just do comma 2 instead of comma 1. Or because quartile 2 is the median, you can type equals median and then select your data. And you can click the first one, hold the mouse button down, drag along to the last one, let go of the mouse button, and then just close the parentheses and hit enter for median. And then for your last one, quartile 3 equals quartile. And you may be wondering why it pops up 3 different variations of quartile, quartile.exe, inc, and just regular quartile. This first one is exclusive, the second one is inclusive, and the third one is the older, just basic quartile. You could use this one, just plain old quartile, but the .inc is the more updated one, I believe. And I've been clicking and dragging to get the data values in there. If you don't feel comfortable clicking and dragging, you can type it in, which is what I'll do for this one. So the data starts in cell A1, and it goes down to A15. You can see it kind of highlighted it for me. And because I'm doing quartile 3, I'll have to do comma 3, close parentheses, enter. And there are my quartiles. And you may have noticed, if you have a better short-term memory than I do, that the quartiles that StatCrunch gave us are not identical to the quartiles that Excel gave us. You can see that StatCrunch here gave us 55 for quartile 1, whereas Excel gave us 55.5. They both agreed the median was 58, but then for quartile 3, we got 64.5 here in Excel and 65 here in StatCrunch. They should both be acceptable when inputting into your homework. And just to, let's try and prove that. I'm going to grab Q1 from Excel, and I'll grab my Q3 from StatCrunch. They both said the median was 58, I believe, so we'll just put 58 in there. All right, and it didn't tell me to round any differently, it just says type integers or decimals, so that's why I'm pretty confident that either version, either the Excel or StatCrunch will work, and let's find out. And it'll work, so that's fine. So now to find the IQR, let's go back to StatCrunch. Close that out. Go to Stat, Summary Stats, Columns, select the correct column. Move that a little bigger. And then go ahead in your list and find IQR, compute, and there it is, 10. If you'd like to do it in Excel, it's going to be a little bit different. Actually, there are two different ways to do it. Since the IQR is Q3 minus Q1, you could, in an empty cell, type equals, select the cell that has the third quartile, type minus sign, and then select the cell that has the first quartile, and then hit enter, and you'll get that. If you don't have the two cells with quartile 3 and quartile 1, you can write a new formula that combines the two. So let's look at this quartile, and I'll type in the third quartile because that has to come first, and then minus quartile, and then select the data again, 1. So whether you do it by subtracting two cells, or you combine the two formulas, or you just grab a calculator, a regular old calculator, and subtract Q3 and Q1, one way or the other. We ended up with 9 for the Excel calculations, and I think StatCrunch gave us 10. So it all just depends on how things are rounded. I believe, again, I believe Pearson is going to accept either one of these. I'm going to go with 10. We should be good. So then the last thing we're going to look at is how to use the IQR to identify any outliers. And so I don't think there's built-in formulas or functions specifically in Excel or StatCrunch to find outliers, but there are a couple ways we can make it easier for ourselves. So let's go back to StatCrunch. And go ahead and close that out. Now the data here is just in the order it was presented in the problem. I don't think it's in any particular order, biggest to smallest, smallest to biggest. And I think I would like it that way. I think I'd like if it was sorted. So I'm going to go to data, sort, select the column. You can either do ascending or descending. I like ascending. Compute. And then it tells you what happened. So we have now changed it so it's in order from smallest to biggest. Help us out there. So let me show you why I did that. First of all, remember that outliers are numbers that are particularly large or particularly small compared to the rest of the values. Just by looking at this now, I can see this fella right here is kind of standing out to me, this 83. But we can double check to see if that's an outlier by using the IQR. We're going to find the upper fence and the lower fence. So to calculate the upper fence, let's go ahead and go to summary stats, columns, select the correct column, and we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to build our own. I don't need any of these. I will keep Q3, Q1, and the IQR since we need those. I'm actually going to go ahead and click build. I'm going to build my own. And remember, to find the upper fence for outliers, you need to take the third quartile and add 1.5 times the IQR. So that's the expression we're going to write out right here. We're going to use the functions to help us out. So scroll down to find Q3 add function. I'm just going to put an X in there. And then plus 1.5 times, go back over to your function list and find the IQR, add function, add in the X there, and we should have it all. So Q3 X plus 1.5 times IQR X. Okay, compute. And it has given me the upper fence for outliers. So anything above 80 would be considered an outlier. So we were right. This 83 is definitely an outlier. I don't think there is an outlier that is on the lower side, below the lower fence, but let's find it anyway. Let's use the same process we did for finding the upper fence. This one is going to be the same process, but it's going to be Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. So let's go ahead and find that. Let's do stats, summary stats, columns. Again, it's var1 or var1. And you don't have to keep these Q1, Q2, Q3, Q1, Q3, and IQR because we already have those. I don't know, I think it looks nice. in any case, whether you keep them or not, you want to hit build. And we need to do, this time it's Q1. So scroll down your function list to find Q1. Add the function. Just go ahead and add in the X there. This is going to be minus 1.5 times. Back to the function list, find the IQR, add function, add that. Okay, compute. Okay, so now we have our lower fence. So well, the lower fence is 40. So anything below 40 would be considered an outlier, but there isn't anything below 40. And this is why I had us arrange it from smallest to biggest, help us find any outliers. So we found the 83 was too high. It was above the 80, the upper fence, but I don't see anything below 40. So looks like our only outlier is 83. And so this is one method you can calculate outliers using StatCrunch. Let's say you'd like to do the same process. Let's say you want to find outliers in Excel. So let's go back to Excel. And I'm going to go ahead and label. Oops. I didn't label it in StatCrunch, but we're finding the upper fence and the lower fence here. And by fence, I literally just mean, you know, where we draw the line as far as what's considered an outlier, what belongs. So to find the upper fence, it's the same process. You need to do the third quartile plus 1.5 times IQR. And if like we have here, you already have calculated the IQR and you already have calculated the third quartile, you can simply type in an empty cell equals, select your third quartile, plus 1.5 times IQR. And there's our upper fence. And not like we talked about before, Excel and StatCrunch are going to be rounding slightly differently. This one gave me 78 instead of 80. But either way, 83 is still considered an outlier. For the lower fence, you're going to type in equals, select the cell that has your first quartile, and do minus 1.5 times. And to do times, I'm hitting shift 8. I'm getting the asterisk there for the multiplication symbol. So first quartile minus 1.5 times, select the cell with the IQR, enter, and this one gave me 42 for my lower fence. And you would just look through your list and see, okay, is there anything above 78 or anything below 42? And in either case, only 83 looks like it's our outlier. So whether you use StatCrunch or Excel, or you just do it by hand, you should find that for this particular problem anyways, 83 is an outlier.